So right now I'm opening up a Studio Web. And for the people who are not aware of Studio Web, it is completely a browser-based IDE. You don't have to set up anything. You don't have to install anything. All you have to sign up for an account and you're ready to go. You have a browser and you can build automation, end-to-end automation for your use case. And it's pretty much simple. You don't need to write any piece of code. All the activities readily available. If you want to connect to a different source system, any third-party system, you have that connectors, you have that pre-built activities readily available. So right now what I have here is I'm trying to automate an entire customer support use case. So it starts from reading your all the emails in a particular shared inbox. Then it categorizes them. And by the way, this is for a saving account for a particular bank. So it then reads each of the email requests. It then categorizes them, right? For instance, here I took like three different categories. It will categorize them into either three of them, and into each one of them, I'm using GPT prompts to perform my further action. So the very first thing, I'm using a GPT prompt first to get the account number from that request, right? Now, here is one important thing. If you're sending out a prompt for a particular request, you have to do a particular prompt engineering, right? So that you get a output in a specific format, so that it is very much easy for you to do the kind of post processing. So for that, I've just included a prompt here to extract the account number and just instructing GPT to not include any other further information to my output. So if the account number is not there, I'm just instructing that to just have as NA, right? And if it is not provided, I'm going to write an email back to the user asking for that account number. And if everything is there, I'm going to do the further action. First of in case it does the email classification, it categorize the email into either of the different categories, and whatever categories I want, I can just specify them here. And after that, it gets into a different category. Now, few things I would just want to highlight, right? For instance, if it is a transactional issue, if I'm writing an email, let's say if a customer is writing an email to customer support, it can be because of any reason, right? It can be because the priority is very much high. Maybe there is some suspicious activity, someone has withdrawn a particular amount, and that needs to be treated on a very high priority basis. So I need to define the priority level. For that, I can just use GPT for defining the priority by sending a prompt. And even in fact, if I want to create a ticket in some particular source system, let's say here I'm creating a ticket in Jira. So the Jira instance won't allow to write a summary more than 250 characters. So I need to create a summary which will include all the specific action that is required. And also, it is not more than 250 characters. So all that thing, you just need to make sure you're setting the right prompt and so that you can, get the absolute response. So in this case, we are getting the summary, we are doing the priority of a particular request, and all that information that is coming from a GPT, I'm just feeding that out for creating a Jira instance ticket. And imagine building this traditionally, how difficult it will be, right? But right now it is as simple as anything. You can create this entire use case within a span of 30 minutes. You have all the activities available. You just have to configure them, send the right prompts, get the answer, and send it back to the source system. So that is just one example, and couple of other thing. Obviously, an email can be for getting an account information, right? It can be generating an account statement based on some duration, and for that also, you can use GPT for getting and understanding the sentiment of the particular email. Then you're using your RPA in process to fetch that information from a source system. It can be an database or it can be a different application where you're going through putting the required filters, getting the information back and sending the response. And even in fact, more than that, let's say if I want to update a particular information back to my source system, right? So I may need to know what are the entities I need to update and to what value I need to update that, right? So you can cater such a request as well. All you have to do is you send the right prompt, and again, you get all the response back. You can store it into some common spreadsheet, and it can be used as a performer for a kind of different bot, to go to a targeted system and just fill that information. So I have the entire automation in place, and obviously you can see how quickly and easily it was. Yeah. So right in the screen, you can see the shared email box, which has all the requests coming up. Some of them can be for a transactional issue. Some of them can be requesting for certain information, and down there you can see different folders to which that email needs to be categorized.
Just for everyone's sake, for this portion of it, we're using UiPath as the RPA platform, and this is Studio Web. It's running on a cloud robot, so there's not, everything is cloud-based here. Nothing sort of on any machine locally.
Yep, and that's again a benefit, right? You don't need to set up any robots, you don't need to configure any infrastructure, right? So down there, you can see all the long messages through which we can see the automation is running perfectly.
So you can see that you have requests that are. So just so everyone understands, the way to have done this in the past would have been to take all of these things, identify what you would call entities within a particular natural language input, and say, this is an account number, this is phone number, this is address, this is all these things that you would identify specifically for extraction, and you would have a long-winded sort of labeling sessions and this and that to be able to do this. And then, just like that email that you just saw, I would like to update my account number to blah, 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 account number this to address. So these entities would be extracted and then actioned upon. The implementation cycle on that was fairly long because you'd have to do a lot of labeling, right? That's a bane of any machine learning project. I think the first thing that everyone asks is, how much labeling do I need to do? How many samples do I need to do? Who's going to do the labeling, so on and so forth. And in this particular case, when you didn't do any labeling of anything, right, the model kind of understands these the most commonly used entities, if you may, and then it was able to say, hey, this is the account number in this particular text, and this is the and it's asking for an update to an address, and then it knows the address. Now we can start going further and start asking to parse various parts of the email, but it also is looking at some of the sentiment in the emails to actually figure out what the priority might be for this, right? This is how we just put in a prompt to say prioritize it, but one of the emails says this is an urgent thing. So as this one email says, this is urgently need funds to complete it, put a high priority on that. You could use it to detect sentiment and actually do fine sort of sentiment in terms of, is this really angry? Is this really happy? Is this positive, negative, so on and so forth, which of course other models exist to do that. However, just the implementation cycles were much longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Very great point. So right now the bot finished the execution and we can see the response has been sent back to the user. And whichever had a transactional issue, it actually created a ticket in Jira, which I'll be showing it in a few moments. And whichever needed some particular account update, it added to a specific location in place where the other bot can pick it up and can do that post processing. And this is my common shared email box. And we can see this email, right, which is particularly related to the transactional issue, right? One can be, this one, you can see it is based on the withdrawal, which is not reflecting in a particular bank account. And the other two,
Guys, sorry.
yeah, no problem. So the other two, the account updates, which are gonna be, yeah, this is with regards to, getting the address updated to a particular saving account. And it classified it perfectly. And the other two here is getting particular account statement and knowing the loan details that is applicable. And finally, which all had the transactional issue, it came to the Jira and it created the incident ticket. And what I want to highlight here is the summary that you can see on the screen, right? It, it created a perfect summary that has captured all the perfect entities out, right? So let's say in this particular case, yeah. So it had captured all the particular entities like the amount debited and the date on which it happened, so that it's very much easy for any user to recognize. And more than that, it actually defined the priority. Since it is an ATM withdrawal and the amount is not reflecting in account, so it is treated as a very high priority request. And more than that, you can actually use GPT as well to route it to a specific user group, right? So you can categorize this even one level further, and you can say since it is belong to a particular ATM withdrawal, you can actually route it to a specific ATM specific group that takes care of the ATM request. And let's say if it is based on some current account related issue, you can actually route it to a different user groups. The last one, which is regarding to the account updates. And we can see here, it is for updating a particular account with the right address. And as we come to this place under this, and you can see, it captured the right entities that need to be updated and also to what value need to be updated, right? So traditionally, if you want to do this, obviously you needed to set up all the ML models in place. You have to do all that kind of labeling task, which takes up weeks of efforts. Right now, you actually eliminated them. And the one final thing, there was a request which asked for getting the bank statement for the last 3 months. Yeah, this request right there. And finally, here we can see the bot was able to get into the source system, um, take all the relevant filter criteria, and was able to send the attached bank statement.
I think it'd be good to see um, some of the prompts that you used here.
Yep, sure. I'll go back to the Studio Web. And let's say, I just want to summarize the entire information out from that particular transactional issue. You can send some prompts stating that, you know, could you just summarize everything into one liner so that it doesn't exceeds 255 characters. And one more thing here, in Jira, it doesn't support sending a new line character, right? You may get an issue with that. So I'm also informing here to not include any new line character, and also to strictly give my account in a specific format, issue summary. The reason is because I can do some post processing after that, where I can just look into any particular text that is coming after issue summary. I can capture that, and I can just put that into Jira. And more than that, there was a few specific place where I'm capturing the start date and the end date, right? So right here, I'm setting a prompt for getting the start date. You can just open it here, and I'm asking for GPT for considering today's date and just give me the start date of a particular request, right? Because the request that you had seen earlier, it just had the keyword called, just extract the account statement for the last 3 months, right? And we need to give a kind of reference. Okay, consider today's date. From today's date, consider whatever it's the start date. So sending the right prompt, you may be able to get the right response out. And also you can notice down here, if the GPT is not able to predict the start date, maybe because it is not given in the email body, or maybe it is not there, right? I'm just asking you to put NA so that I can do some post processing after that.